It's been almost 2 weeks since that deadly mass shooting in Nova Scotia. The federal government has announced a ban on assault-style rifles effective immediately. Rod Giltaca joins us now, and he's the CEO and Executive Director of the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights. Thank you so much for being here today with us, Rod.
Thanks for having me.
So can you tell us, what is your reaction to this announcement that was made by the federal government?
Our reaction is we are absolutely devastated. The types of firearms that were banned, by and large, being the AR-15 and some other center-fire semi-automatic rifles, have been in safe use for Canada, well, for 100 years. In the case of any of the more modern firearms, they're used in sporting and recreation without incident for the last 40 years. And so it's a real targeted attack that affects only those who would get a firearms license and maintain one.
Okay, so overall then, what do you think of the types of firearms that are being banned?
So in the media, the misnomer that's being spread around, it's military-style assault weapon or even military assault weapons. Assault weapons, by definition, have been banned in Canada since 1977. They do not exist. Just because something looks like something else, it doesn't mean that's what it is. So they're being mischaracterized, but they are appropriate firearms that people use for recreational target shooting and even military training when soldiers are off duty. So it's an initiative aimed squarely at the wrong people, and I think it's purely just to punish people that the Liberals disagree with.
And so, as far as you're concerned and your members and your coalition, is there any kind of ban that would be seen as reasonable?
Well, what a lot of Canadians don't know is that the gun control regime in Canada is incredibly strict. It takes 3 to 5 months just to secure a firearms license. And even while you hold that license, you're checked, your name is compared to the CPIC database, the Canadian Police Information Center, every 24 hours. We're the only people that get that kind of scrutiny. And so if you are someone that owns an AR-15 or a handgun, a black rifle or a handgun, basically, you are extremely carefully vetted and watched every day. So, you know, the misconception that there's no gun control or there's weak gun control in Canada is, I'm sorry to say it, it's an absolute lie.
Okay, and so do you think then that this will make any kind of difference in general when it comes to stopping mass shootings or any kind of shooting, really, against a human?
Well, it'll make absolutely no difference because people use illegal firearms all the time. So if you look at, if we have on average 190 firearms-related homicides in Canada, virtually all of them, above 80%, are done with illegal firearms. And in fact, the act itself of murder or even a discharging a firearm in a place where it can't be legally and safely discharged is a serious criminal offense. We have ample laws on the books. We have ample punishments. They're just not being dealt out. So that's a real problem, especially when you punish all the people that aren't doing a shooting.
So then what do you think was the motivation to make this change?
Well, the motivation is purely political. It's nothing more because there's no evidence, there's no data to support what they're doing. I was in a briefing with the Director General of Public Safety last night, where we looked at the regulation, and the regulation is full of contradictions. It's been pasted together. They have no plan to compensate people for these rifles or even collect them. It's purely political, and I have no idea why they would do this during a pandemic. People are having a hard enough time as it is. And again, who are the people affected? Only licensed gun owners that would use their firearms responsibly and follow the law. It's very difficult.
All right, and lastly, do you think anything does need to change when it comes to firearms control in Canada?
Well, I think that, you know, as far as our group and what we're trying to do is we're trying to educate non-gun owning Canadians. In fact, we have a website called gundebate.ca where there's a quiz. So if you think you know something about firearm law, you can go there and take the quiz and win prizes and the whole thing. We are trying to educate Canadians to let them know that their firearms are actually overregulated already. There's a lot of laws that are just simply punitive on law-abiding licensed gun owners. So our position is we just want rules that you can demonstrate will have a positive impact on public safety. If it doesn't, we want it repealed. So we're just looking for reasonable treatment. All
right. Well, Rod Giltaca joining us this morning. Thank you so much for your time and for your analysis.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, Cash is here right after.